two intersections have been named after Mr. Osama Siblani. One thing I'm very concerned about, which I think a lot of people in Dearborn would be concerned about, I mean, I could just read his direct quotations. I'll read a couple of them. These are from 2022. My concern is he's a promoter of Hezbollah and Hamas. He talks about how the blood of the martyrs, I'm quoting, irrigates the land of Palestine. He talks about how the terrorists should strike them with knives and with their bare hands, and they're victorious. And he also encourages the use of rockets over there.
Saying the cruelest of things about Muslims, about the religion of Islam, because you are a bigot, and you are a racist, and you are an Islamophobe.
I don't think it's very fashionable anymore, but once upon a time there was a popular phrase stating, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Translation, when visiting a foreign place, one should follow the local customs. It's all about respect. Then there's Dearborn, Michigan, or as some wisecrackers like to call this city, Dearbornistan. This place is no melting pot. Of note, this city of 103,000, situated near Detroit, now has a majority Muslim population. In 2020, 51.5% of Dearborn residents identified as Middle Eastern or North African. The mayor is Muslim, as is the police chief. And many shops and restaurants in Dearborn now display Arabic in their signage. This demographic switch might explain why some mosques are not obeying the city's bylaws in terms of their call to prayer broadcasts. And as recent media reports note, these mosques are not being penalized for violating Dearborn's noise ordinance. According to the city ordinance, 60 decibels is the noise limit during the day from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. As well, the ordinance also states that the use of loudspeakers is prohibited between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. But numerous residents have complained that the call to prayer broadcasts take place as early as 5:30 a.m. and that those broadcasts exceed 60 decibels. That's a double violation of the city's bylaw. And yet the city has chosen to do nothing. Did I mention that both the mayor and the police chief in Dearborn are Muslim? Andrea Unger, who has lived in Dearborn for 40 years, recently told Fox News Digital that the loudspeakers at the Islamic Institute of Knowledge, which is situated about a quarter mile from her home, broadcast the call to prayer multiple times a day, often lasting about 5 minutes. She said the sound is so loud it can be heard clearly inside her home, sometimes as early as 5:30 a.m.
But the mosques in East Dearborn are now at times waking us up at 5:30 in the morning with the call to prayer.
This is Dearborn resident Andrea Unger at last night's city council meeting stating that mosques using outdoor loudspeakers for their call to prayer should not be allowed, and says she believes it's not supposed to be allowed per city ordinance.
The noise complaints have been made out and the police have made numerous visits. What is the next step?
At the September 23 Dearborn City Council meeting, Unger presented a petition signed by 40 neighbors urging enforcement of the city's noise ordinance, which prohibits, quote, the continuance of any unreasonably loud, disturbing, unusual, or unnecessary noise which annoys, disrupts, injures, or endangers the comfort, repose, health, peace, or safety of others within the limits of the city, end quote. Unger says the noise level has actually exceeded 70 decibels. And she is adamant that this is not a religious issue for her, rather it's all about fairness and equal enforcement. Allahu Akbar, Now, folks, that was just 15 seconds. Can you imagine 5 minutes of such a sonic assault at more than 60 decibels at 5:30 in the morning? Really? But while Unger has raised concerns with the police department and city council for 2 years now, she says the problem persists. Meanwhile, Dearborn pastor Ted Barham has also complained to Dearborn City Council. Barham is not only concerned about the call to prayer issue, but he's sounding the alarm regarding city street signs being renamed to honor a controversial Islamic leader. Alas, things did not go well for Pastor Barham at a recent city council meeting. Dearborn Mayor Abdullah Hamoud called Barham a, quote, racist bigot and an Islamophobe, end quote.
2 intersections have been named after Mr. Osama Siblani. One thing I'm very concerned about, which I think a lot of people in Dearborn would be concerned about, I mean, I could just read his direct quotations. I'll read a couple of them. These are from 2022. My concern is he's a promoter of Hezbollah and Hamas. He talks about how the blood of the martyrs, I'm quoting, irrigates the land of Palestine. He talks about how the terrorists should strike them with knives and with their bare hands, and they're victorious. And he also encourages the use of rockets over there.
The best suggestion I have for you is to not drive on Warren Avenue, or to close your eyes while you're doing it. His name is up there, and I spoke at a ceremony celebrating it because he's done a lot for this community. And I think it's quite hypocritical to know that you're approaching this podium when you yourself have videos on YouTube standing in front of my mosque saying the cruelest of things about Muslims, about the religion of Islam, because you are a bigot, and you are a racist, and you are an Islamophobe. And although you live here, I want you to know as mayor, you are not welcome here. And the day you move out of the city will be the day that I launch a parade celebrating the fact that you moved out of the city. Because you are not somebody who believes in coexistence, you're somebody who tries to preach it, but in fact you do everything but that. So I just want to put that on the record.
Bottom line, I think what we're seeing playing out in Dearborn is a representation of Islamist exceptionalism. Here in Toronto, as well as Montreal and so many other Western cities the world over, it's now commonplace to see Islamists block city streets to pray. The municipalities and the police forces will tell you these people have a constitutional right to do so. Alas, that's a slice of tequila on their part. Yes, you have a constitutional right to pray. No, you don't have a constitutional right to block city streets. In fact, it's not safe to do so if, for example, an emergency vehicle needs to get by. And so it is that the ongoing violation of Dearborn's noise bylaws by certain mosques is surely a sonic representation of so-called Islamist exceptionalism. Yes, waking up the neighborhood at 5:30 a.m. via broadcasting the call to prayer louder than 60 decibels does indeed run contrary to Dearborn's bylaw. But if one has the temerity to point this out, then that person shall be labeled a racist, bigot, and an Islamophobe by the very elected representatives who are actually supposed to enforce the law. Say, how's that diversity is our strength shtick working for you? Hey folks, I know you love it when Rebel News tells the other side of the story, but there is a cost we incur. Don't expect the mainstream media to drive all the way down to Dearborn, Michigan to tell the other side of the story. We did. I hope you enjoyed the report, but can you do me a favor? Can you help us out? Can you help me recover some of my expenses? Please go to rebelfieldreports.com. That's rebelfieldreports.com. And if you're able to, kindly make a donation.